All right, welcome back to another episode of the More Than Outdoors podcast, the podcast where we talk about the people, places, and passions that drive Maine's outdoor recreation economy. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Austin French.
And I'm Sam Andrews.
And we have super cool backdrop, slightly cooler environment than what is going on outside right now, because for any of you who are curious, it is exactly 1 million degrees outside. And so we decided, let's bring this episode in. Our guest, Noah, has some amazing gear set up in his very cool shop here in Camden. So Noah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Totally.
It's pretty cool.
So how we tend to start every episode is just like, for anyone in the audience who maybe isn't familiar with you yet, just kind of who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. And then, like, how did you end up in the outdoor rec industry in the first place?
Yeah. I'm Noah Kleiner. I own Equinox Guiding Service, and we do rock and ice climbing here in Camden and Acadia and kind of all over the Northeast, really.
Yeah.
And how I started, well, that's a good question. I mean, I started rock climbing in college, at College of the Atlantic. I climbed before that, but I don't really call it. Like I went on an hour-bound course and I climbed with the Y, and there was a little climbing wall in Union for a little while. But I don't really count those as like my start.
Sure.
But when I went to college, I did a week-long climbing orientation trip with COA, and it was sweet. And I just the next week was like orientation week, where they have all these things, and I just skipped the whole thing and I rock climbed the whole week. And that was kind of what I was doing from then on, kind of thing.
You caught the bug.
Yeah. Climbers get a little addicted to it, which is, I definitely had that.
I think you kind of have to be. I mean, you if you're gonna climb, that it feels like one of those you're kind of pot committed at that point. Like you're not just taking a leisurely stroll down a nature path.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a little bit more commitment involved in there, I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you kind of have to train your brain to not be scared.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing it all the time, you definitely lose that, which is, but I think you get a little addicted to that too.
Oh,
just putting yourself in that fight or flight spot.
Well, and forcing your brain to work like that. I'm such a firm believer. We were having this conversation the other day, me and another person at the university, and it's healthy to put your brain in moments where you have a challenge in front of you. And how do you develop those muscles for resiliency of I'm problem solving in live time, and it's not going to look the same no matter how many times. I'm sure you'd say this, no matter how many times I've climbed this particular climb, every day it's just slightly different, whether it's because of weather, whether it's because of whatever the variables are.
Yeah.
Mindset.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've definitely felt a trend as we've started asking more and more people just how they got in the outdoor rec space. How many people tie it back to that college orientation trip thing, which I'm sure gives you tons of joy. But I think but there's something really to be said about that, right? You're in an incredibly impressionable part of your life.
Yeah.
Where you're making the first sort of transitional move towards adulthood, quote unquote. And all of a sudden we're well, hey, we're actually going to take you into this outdoor place and allow you to experience this and do some problem solving and all that stuff. It's really awesome.
Yeah. I think for me, it might be even deeper than that, just because of my dad and growing up doing all of the my dad's the main guide, and we just grew up doing all of the outdoor stuff we could ever do. When I was 11, we drove cross country my mom took a sabbatical, and we just went to all the national parks and drove cross country for 3 months, which was kind of wild. Yeah. So we brought a canoe, and we were always canoe camping or paddling the St. Croix. I remember being 10 or 9, and my dad took me on a guided trip down the St. Croix, and I was just the kid that was hanging out with the other kid that was on the trip,
The one other kid.
Yeah. It was just a family that hired him, and then I was just the dad's son that was on the trip guiding, but not really guiding. It was kind of hilarious.
Are you an only child?
No, I have a brother,
You
a
have
younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he dragged along eventually too?
Yeah, my brother does not love hiking. If you call it hiking, if you call it walking, he'll come.
Okay.
But I think now he's more like on board with the hiking thing, but he never really, when I was a kid, he wasn't really into it as much.
We're going to walk uphill. This is
Yeah.
not a hike. Just a walk up.
Yeah.
And eventually back downhill.
Yeah. That's what you had to do, literally. Yeah.
But you were into it, so like you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I would always like sleep in the backyard all summer in a tent,
cool.
and like, I went to Tanglewood when I was a kid, and I started working there when I was like 16, 17.
Oh, okay.
I worked in the kitchen for a while, and then I eventually led trips for them.
Cool.
So like my parents started the Tanglewood tripping program at Tanglewood. Yeah, they helped like start
cool.
that. So yeah, Jim and Cindy, who started Tanglewood, are like really good friends. So that kind of like, just doing that stuff all the time, or like car camping all the time, or like we have tons of family stories of just like being on, some island and there's a ton of snakes, or like, stuff like that we're always doing as a family, or just like always being outdoors, or always fishing. Like my dad was always fishing. It was kind of like mine and his time was like, you want to go fishing? Okay, great. We'll just like go fishing. Cool. So, I mean, I definitely grew up into all that. And then there was a time period in my life where I was like, I don't want to have to do any of this. Like I moved to New York City. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, really?
No,
but I lived in New York City for 2 years, and I worked at a couple climbing gyms, and I was like doing guided tours out of New York City for a little while. But it was like I was leaving, to go climbing, or go back to Maine, or like that's when I started working. I worked at Chewonki for 2 summers, so I led 22-day sea kayaking tours for them and 22-day canoe trips. We did the West Branch into the Allagash, which was cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that for a whole summer, or 2 summers, kind of in between all the other stuff. And
so what's like when you're talking about being in New York City and doing the like, okay, I was running guiding trips out of there. Like where were you going? Like what was the clientele?
Were you climbing outside in New York?
I never guided. I did guide like a little bit rock climbing stuff in the gunks. I was like interested in guiding stuff. Like I signed up for my SPI course, but I was never like, my head was not there. Like I wasn't ready to do this. You know what I mean? Like I was like kind of in this weird experimental phase of like, do I like this? Like where do I fit into this outdoor world? And like, what do I want to bring to this outdoor world? And where do I like fit in, I would say, or like, what's my passion kind of around that? Yeah. So when I was there, I led like a bunch of hiking. They would always pair it with like a beer drinking thing, or like a wine drinking thing naturally, right?
That's like Portland too.
So you do like hiking and then like a wine tasting thing, or like I did some snowshoeing trips, and then you'd go, to the distillery afterwards, or something like that. Or we did like tubing was huge, so you go tubing and then you go to the distillery, or like you go skiing, right? You get everybody a ski pass, and then you would go to a distillery or something afterwards. I did a ton of those through a couple different companies, and then through this company called Brooklyn Outfitters, which I don't think exists anymore, but they were sort of like a little startup, and they made backpacks, and they were really into doing like a little bit more extremer sort of thing. So they did, I had one client hire me for like multiple days on the Northern Forest Canoe Trail. So I actually did like the first 2 sections in New York, guiding him paddling basically. So like setting all that stuff up, which was pretty cool. That was like a cool thing that I did.
You dabbled in it all.
Yeah.
You really were experimenting to find what your niche was. I feel like that's a really interesting path. Like I find myself, what is it? Master of none. Yeah. What's that saying?
Like you're like a jack of all trades. Yeah.
Jill of all trades, master of none. I feel like I kind of fell into that with the outdoor world too, because I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this. I just want to be outside. Like whatever mode kind of gets you into that, especially working. Yeah. You're just like, I'll jump on. Like, that sounds great. I'll do it. Yeah. But then you kind of fell into finding climbing, right? And that was what you latched on to.
Yeah, I kind of like, early on I decided I needed to pick one. Like I can't buy a bike and I can't buy a kayak. You know, like I couldn't buy a whitewater kayak and a bike and rock climb. Like too many financial things in one. Like I can't do them all, right? And so rock climbing became the one that I could like piece together. Like I could buy one cam, right? When I had the money, I could buy like I had a rope, you know, like that was the thing that I could like slowly accumulate the right gear and buy used stuff too, like going to IME and like going into the basement and buying a bunch of used stuff. Like not the best decision-making process, but you know, it got me to start doing it more. But yeah, like that's kind of why I chose rock climbing, because it felt, and because you see all those pictures of like guys on, you know, some side of a face somewhere with a portal edge, and you're like, I want to go do that, right? Like that looks so cool.
You were
like,
inspired by them.
That's
cool.
And when I was a kid, we had this book of like, I think it was like Mountaineers, but it was like all the old school pictures, and it was like a picture book of like all these cool things people had done over the years. And like that was really inspiring. And mountaineering, Freedom of the Hills, like I had that when I was a kid, and I was always like, wow, you can like, you know, it's cool to like look up how to camp, right? Totally. But like how to camp on the side of a cliff with all your stuff, like that's cool, right?
You only get so many of the like sitting around the campfire photo, and you're like, okay, I'll go camping.
Yeah. And I think for
that's
me,
my jam. I'm like, I don't want to camp on the side of a cliff.
And I think for me, it was like, I had done so much of like getting lost in the woods and like getting a map and compass and like getting out, like I can go do that, you know? And that it didn't get me going anymore. And like climbing is like the next level, right? It's like mountaineering and like alpinism is like, it's way higher than all of that stuff. Like that stuff's great, and like cool, and like it's cool to go do, but like that sort of area of expertise always like was out there and like inspiring to me.
You're burning a way different level of mental calories.
And I don't know, like it never felt possible when I was a kid, you know, because you never grow up in Mid-Coast Maine and be like, oh, I'm gonna be a rock climbing guide. Like nobody's saying that around here, you know. Nobody's like, you could go be a rock climbing guide when you grow up. Like my parents never said that either, you know. So I think that mentality like really, I don't know, it's cool to think about and to kind of grow that part of me and learn more about it. And and then when I got my Maine guide, I was working for the AMC. I was at Little Lyford Camp, and I tried to run all their outdoor stuff that they did there. It did not work out because it's like, it's pretty remote up there. It's like you're in the woods. It's cool. It's a cool place, but you really got to like the people that you work with.
It's very remote.
But that's when I got my Maine guide's license, which is interesting. So that's when I got my rec license, going back several different times. I tried to get it when I was in college, but I failed. I just wasn't really ready. But then I got it then. And then I was just living around here and climbing a ton, and people were like, you should get your guide cert. And so then I went to New Hampshire and I took my course and I took my exam like right after each other, and then immediately got a job with Atlantic Climbing School in Acadia like right after that. And that was kind of like what started the whole climbing as a career path kind of thing.
Interesting.
I was gonna ask, like, if you had any mentors along the way. I feel like climbing is one of those sports that you kind of have to learn by doing, but also through support, like somebody kind of showing you the spots or showing you the techniques. Like, did you have anybody that you latched onto, or did you feel like it was different people as you went that you would like take little nuggets of wisdom from?
It was like different people. I would say I'm a pretty individual, and like I would take stuff that I've learned from other people, and I definitely probably have my own style of like rock climbing and guiding. Like I would say I'm probably a little bit different than most people. Like I just like rock climbing, you know, like I don't really care what we climb. We could climb 5.2 or we could climb 5'12", like it doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just love getting people out rock climbing. And I think that's my like different mentality is I don't always like all the technical stuff is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like people like Dick Chassé and like Matt Shove and like Ted Teagarden, like all of those people have been like people I've called on over the years of just like, am I doing this right? Like, especially with business wise, like, yeah, Ted's been super helpful for that stuff. And like my dad's been helpful for that stuff. Obviously his business is totally different than mine.
Totally.
But like, yeah, those are people that I've sort of like relied on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a lot of me figuring it out too. Like nobody was guiding in Camden. Like people had been guiding here, but nobody had been like, let's start a business in Camden that does rock climbing. You know, it wasn't, nobody was envisioning this, right? As this could be a place that people would come and do rock climbing. Right. It wasn't, I don't think anybody was like, it'll work. Right. So that was, it was kind of interesting to do that. So a lot of the climbs that we guide, I sort of pioneered of like how to guide them, right? Because nobody was really guiding them at the time. They were guiding them, but it wasn't in that way, I guess.
And I think it's important for people to understand because like being in this space, like you guys just jumped into last summer before. I'm trying to remember when we had the mobs.
August will be 2 years.
Will be 2 years.
Yeah.
So like, what did the business look like prior to having this space?
Yeah. So first year, we just had like my truck, you know, and some gear in the back, and we'd meet people down at Barrett's Cove Beach, and we'd walk up to the cliff and go climbing. That was kind of like how it went. First year, when we started Equinox, a friend of mine, John Siddick, started it and me, and he went up, his mom works for Mafka, and he went up and checked a bunch of taps for maple syrup in northern Maine. And he took like, I think it was like half of that money or like a couple $1,000s. And that's what we used money to start Equinox with. That was our seed money, which is kind of hilarious. So that first year I just worked. I didn't take a paycheck at all. I just was like, let's see if this worked. The other thing that made it work was we went to the insurance company and we were like, okay, how much is it going to cost for us to do this? And they were like $600. And we were like,
check.
Sweet. We can book 3 trips. Like that's not hard, you know?
Love that mentality.
I bet that's changed.
Not anymore.
They're like, wait, what are you doing?
Try adding a couple zeros.
Not $600 anymore. Yeah. So that was kind of how we started, which was pretty cool.
And sorry, how long ago was that?
That'll be we're in year 9. We're almost to year 10. So we're like 2 months into, we're 9 and 2 months or something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Next year is going to be good. 10 years.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have like a free climbing day and like invite everybody and just like get everybody on the cliff and like have hot dogs and hamburgers. And,
Heck yeah.
We'll have to save.
We'll be volunteers.
We'll save this clip and use it for future promo.
This is the seed you're planting right now.
I think it'll be pretty cool.
Save the date.
Yeah. Well, that's how we started. And then we were operating out of my truck. I just like had all these bins in the back of my truck and I would just like pull it. I had this big hook. And I would just like hook all the gear out. We'd set it up at the beach or we'd meet people out wherever, you know. And then I had a storage unit for a number of years. I think 2 or 3 years. And that was nice because it separated my life from the gear, which was really nice. And then, we got this space, which is way better than all of that. Yeah.
But I think it's important for folks to hear because, like, one of the sort of audience segments that we tend to have with the podcast is like people who maybe are aspiring to open their own outdoor business, right? And being able to see some of that timeline of like, it didn't just start with this. And you're like, oh yeah, hey, no problem. Like I'll take the store frontage, so to speak, model. Like there's a lot of evolution that comes through that, and all the lessons that you end up learning throughout that period of time. And because I mean, to your point, right? Like being the technical rock climber is a very different skill set than being the business person owning and operating the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And trying to do those things simultaneously. A lot of people get tripped up on it, right? Like entrepreneurship is not easy.
Yeah, I would say like I was the owner operator until like 2 years ago.
Right, exactly.
You know, I would be out in the field doing every trip, and I would be like, I need help for this trip, but I like don't need help for all these other ones until 2 years ago. And now it's more of like me running a guide service, which is a different mentality than me just running every single trip I could, right? Yeah. Which, you know, it has its benefits. Like I love being in the field. I love rock climbing. That's like why I started it. But also I can't work 26 days in July. Like that's not sustainable.
Yeah. And so how many people do you employ now?
I have three guides, one sort of part-time, and I have an intern this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we're a little bit smaller than we were last year, which is good. We just had too many guides and not enough work.
Yeah.
And I like having not enough guides and too much work. Yeah. I think that's a better model than me trying to like figure out how to
filling time is tough.
Yeah. I don't really want to do that. So, yeah.
Well, and you're a good boss for doing that too, because I feel like as a guide, the seasonality of our work, it's like this is our busy time, and you know, when it's so nice out and you can go climbing. I mean, ice climbing is a whole different story, but I bet you drop down guides in the wintertime, right? Or do you?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. I just go down. It's kind of like it was when it started for Equinox. It's just me. Yeah. And I just fill my time as much as I can. And if I have groups, I hire somebody in to do stuff. But yeah. But that's growing. Yeah. Which is crazy. Yeah. You know?
And are you mostly ice climbing are you in Maine doing it, or are you in New Hampshire? Because I know there's like a big scene in New Hampshire.
Yeah. So I work mostly here. I try to get people to come here. Yeah. Because I live here. Yeah. And the ice climbing is great, and people should come to Camden and go ice climbing because it's cool. But I go to Acadia, Grafton. I go over there. Cool. I go to Katahdin usually once or twice a winter. Yeah. And then New Hampshire, I work a bunch of ice festivals. So New Hampshire has their big ice festival. Yeah. Vermont, I work that ice festival, and then I work the New York ice festival. Oh, cool. The Adirondacks one. Yeah. So that sort of fills in those like busier weekends. It's cool to meet people, and like ice climbing is such a niche thing that when you all get together to hang out and talk about ice climbing, it's like kind of cool, you know, whereas other sports don't necessarily have that. Whitewater kayaking, I would say, has sort of that. Like,
well, and like you're looking at like, okay, climbing already one portion, and then you're like, and then ice climbing, smaller portion, and you're like, when we get together, we nerd out.
It's really interesting too, the like clientele part of it, right? Like I have people that just ice climb with me, and I have people that just rock climb with me, and people don't always go cross disciplines, which is really interesting, right? Yeah. And I would say ice climbing is even more of like, people are more likely to hire a guide for ice climbing than they are for rock climbing, just because it's such a technical and the gear is so crazy that you just can't just go out and buy $2,000 to $3,000 worth of gear and go ice climbing. Is not really worth it.
Yeah, it's so interesting. There's like, you really have like two different types of businesses, with the, you know, the ice climbing being one, with all the different types of gear that you use for that. I mean, there's probably some crossover, but, and then in the summertime, it's just like, you run a crazy business that's kind of unheard of, I feel like, in New England. Like there's not a lot of rock climbing companies.
I never thought that it would be a year-round business.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this will work in July and August, you know? And like, maybe the goal was to make spring and fall work, right? Yeah. Like I knew if I could get spring, like enough schools, enough like groups of stuff that I could make, if I made spring and fall work, then I could make like the whole year work. But I never thought winter would be as big as it is. It's like pretty wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talk about it a lot too, is like how you survive Maine winter is by like finding things that you love to do and embracing the winter. And I feel like ice climbing is one of those things. I mean, and it's like an exciting, different, I did this and I get to say I did this kind of experience.
Yeah. I think like our winters are so short, like our days are so short.
Yeah.
If you're not outside during that like very short amount of time, you've missed the whole day, and then it's night again.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I didn't do anything today because it wasn't light out at all, right? So I feel really grateful that my job is like taking advantage of that very short amount of time where I'm outside during that time, and I can just like go be outside all winter, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think about like when I'm up at Sugarloaf and it's like, the beginning of January and being, direct north facing, the sun sets over the mountain at like 1:30 in the afternoon, and then you're just like skiing blind until about 4 p.m. just trying to make it to the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, I mean, same thing. I'm super fortunate that like I'm outside during that entire beginning of the day and just like embracing whatever sunlight, we're getting in Maine on that given day.
Yeah.
But it is like it, and I think there's so much to be said about like just the like mental health component of like actually engaging outside in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Continuing to get the sunlight when you can, like that's so huge. And I mean, I see it all the time in the college setting of like, you have students who haven't found that activity yet that keeps them engaged in the winter. And it's like, it's tough. They'll like come in and have meetings with me. And I mean, we're talking about career stuff, but like you can just feel the energy in the meeting is like so low because they're just like, I just haven't done anything. And like, I just have been cooped up. Yeah, literally. Like, I mean, it is literally hibernation mode.
Yeah.
And it's so upsetting because we're like, you literally could not be in a better place to be active in the wintertime than the mountains of Western Maine. But it's just a matter of like how do you push people over the edge and get them to do that thing,
I struggle with that all the time. Like climbing, right? Rock climbing is dangerous, right? Like, and that's the perception that everybody has with it, right? And so just to get somebody to try it is like, that's the hardest thing. Like that's the hardest marketing thing that I struggle with is like, they just perceive it as this like steep overhang, like over the cliffs, thing, which I mean, does sell awesome trips, but it's not necessarily what you always have to do rock climbing. You can just go enjoy climbing outdoors and just being outdoors. And even ice climbing, right? Mm-hmm. Like you think of ice climbing, you're like frozen waterfall, like overhung, like crazy thing. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that crazy. It can be, there's an awesome like 2-pitch water ice 2 that's in the woods here. That's awesome. And people can climb up and rappel down and you do 2 pitches up and it's like the most mellow thing ever. But getting people to try it is like so difficult because that's the fear thing, right? It's like if you don't know what it's like, you're less likely to take that leap to like do it or try something new.
Well, and how do you like whether it's like trying to bring that forward to like your potential customer base or like because you are very much so someone who like you not only facilitate these outdoor experiences, but you facilitate an experience that has so much more of that, like the inherent danger perception. And so like, obviously there's like the adventure piece, there's the risk management piece, like, and so I would be curious, like, how do you kind of package that to somebody and be like, this is quite accessible and like, we have all the things to be able to help keep you safe and engaged and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would say I try as best I can to market that way and like present what I'm doing in that way. Like, I think even when people call me, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like, I try to be chill, like people walk in the door here and like, usually I don't have any socks on or shoes on or like whatever, right? Like I'm just chilling and like, this is what we do, and the more I can, meet people where they're at and like understand what they're conceptualizing of climbing in general, the more I can like add to that, right? That's what I always think about. Like people walk in the door, we shake their hand, we say hi, like we're building trust. Yeah. That's what we're doing. That we're in the business of building trust. Yeah, totally. And I mean, that goes to like all of our which nobody really knows too, right. Which is the interesting part, right? Like we have all these certifications and like I'm accredited by the American Mountain Guide Association. Like all of this stuff, but like people don't even know what that means. And then they're still scared of the thing to go try it. Right. So you're building trust through everything that you do. And like from a marketing standpoint, that's like pretty much what you're trying to do as best you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always scary for people, and they want to know you're a human, right? They want to know you're a real human. So even when people call me, I'm like, hey, you can just text this number. Like this goes to my cell phone. It's like, it's an open line. Like just be like, ask me questions, you know, like the more you ask questions, the less that fear breaks down, the more you're like understanding of what the process looks like and like how you're going to show up and what's going to happen kind of along the lines, then they're less likely to not book, right? But even getting that initial phone call, I think, is challenging for what I'm doing, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and that anxiety component, right? Like so much of that is tied to just like when I feel as though I don't have all of the information that I need to make a well-rounded decision, right? That anxiousness settles in with somebody, regardless of whether it's climbing or any other thing that you're going to do in your life, right? And so like, it's like how do you build, and like I've noticed it some like in different, whether it was like social media stuff that I've seen from you or maybe like some of your newsletter, like email stuff, like just those little plugs of like educational content that's just like, it wasn't even necessarily a question I was thinking about asking, but it like gave me that little extra nugget of like, oh, okay, I'm putting that in the bank. Like I have that now. And that's like so much of, I think, what a lot of us end up doing in the outdoor industry, because there's like, depending on the activity, there's so much technical aspect that comes to whatever you're doing. And then understanding the gear and understanding the weather and like, you know, all of the variables that we process as facilitators in live time. But if that's not how your brain is wired and you haven't been trained to go through that, you're not thinking about any of those things. You know what I mean? And you're just going, like, all of a sudden when it is, you know, ice climbing day and wind is like up and it's like potentially going to snow or whatever the thing is, you're already like, okay, well, I've seen this process. This is pattern recognition. This is what we have to do in this particular scenario.
Yeah.
Where the other person's just like, oh my God, it's really windy. Like, what if I literally just get blown off the side of this waterfall? You know, like...
you know, like times people are like, what if the wind's, it's so windy out? I'm like, you're not going to get, like, you're fine. Like, I'm not going to get blown off the cliff. I've never been blown off the cliff ever. It's so funny. It blows my mind.
I know, you must have, I felt like that with sea kayaking when I worked for Portland Paddle. Like the phone calls I would have about sharks and just like being in the ocean in general, like the conversations you had to kind of talk people off the ledge, so to speak. Like, it'll be okay.
I think going back to something you said too is like growing up in Maine, you just like go outdoors. Like you're not like indoors at all, you know, especially for me, I was like outside getting lost in the woods or like, so all that stuff you're telling, like the anxiety part, like it doesn't faze me, you know, it's just like my mom was like, go outside and get the dust blown off you. That's what my mom would say. She's like, go outside and get the dust blown off you. And we would just go outside and be doing stuff, you know? And so like no matter what the weather was, even if it was winter, snow days were the best, right? You just go outside and you just put more clothes on, right? So
you never really had that anxiety, but through this business you've probably started to gain an understanding of what those normal anxieties are from people and like how to adapt and like support those people through it. And I've noticed like working with you through Colby, I love your attitude of like, oh, let's think of this new thing that we can do, because like I remember with like the Allen Island burnt thing, like Burnt Island's right next to Allen Island. You're like, there's really cool rock climbing, like a face that we could climb and we should definitely do something over there. And it's like, you're kind of speaking to the audience, like, how do I do the thing? I mean, not necessarily with the anxiety, but like, how do I do the thing that would connect with you and like what you care about? And I think that's super cool. And I'm curious if you do that with people who have the anxiety of climbing, like, hey, why don't we just like do this more relaxed climb that I know about that's nearby? Like you're kind of like customizing the experiences for the people. Right?
Yeah, I had this family call me this morning that was like, we have our daughter's like really into climbing. She's like doing competition climbing. Like the kids, like other kids like want to try it. Like dad maybe wants to climb. Like he might climb for like one thing. I was like, cool, just book 2 people. We'll figure out everybody else.
Yeah.
Like if they want to climb, great. If they don't want to climb, that's fine too. Like if you want to just try the thing, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just go outside and be out. Like I just want people to go outside.
Yeah.
You know?
Like let's lower the barrier as much as possible, make this like not as logistically challenging as it sounds like you want to make it. It's not that complicated. Let's just go play.
And on Hurricane, so we work on Hurricane Island Science, Leadership, and Energy. And some of those, I was out there yesterday, those kids just walk down, you know, that's their challenge.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, you know? Yes, okay, other kids like want to belay the whole time. That's great. That's your challenge. You've participated in the activity. You've seen the activity, right?
Yeah.
Now you've broken down that fear barrier just by doing those things. So all of those pieces I think are really important just to like start people in that process. And it doesn't have to be this like huge, scary thing. It's just like, oh, I know that person and they went all the way to the top and came all the way down. Or like Jamie went up 2 feet and came down. Like all of those are okay. Yeah. And then on like the different places, it's like, I get jazzed on that stuff. Like, like I love that like Saturday I was in Acadia all day. Sunday I was on Tumbledown. Monday I was in the office. Tuesday I was on, you know, I was in Camden. Wednesday I was like on Hurricane. Like I love that. Like that doesn't make it consistent for me. It's not like you're running top ropes every day at Otter, every day, half day. Like I don't want to run a tour. Like I don't want to do that. It's not fun. The clients knows that I'm not having fun.
Right. You feel that.
Yeah. It's and you're just, you know, by the end of August you're like, great, putting up another top rope. Like it doesn't, it's like I want to go take you to Burnt. Like that sounds cool. You know, we get to ride on boats. You know,
we
and
get
like
to boat to the island we're gonna go climb on. Like that's the coolest.
So like that stuff really makes me excited, and I think the participants get excited about it. And like there are really cool places to go climbing in Maine. We just don't talk about them or like know that they exist, or like Chain of Ponds. Like Chain of Ponds is like one of the coolest climbing areas in Maine, but nobody knows about it. It's like way the heck up there. It's also got some cool ice climbing, but like nobody talks about it or goes up there. It's like kind of wild that we just have these really unique areas that are, you know, pretty cool. Like Burnt, right? Burnt it's Otter Cliffs, but like right there.
But on an island in the middle, it's really, really cool. And I didn't even get to go on that. I mean, that's my job, right? Is like the
you organize
the logistics queen. But like I could have not put the effort in to do that and put it somewhere else. But I was just like so fired up by your energy around it, and I was like, he thinks this is really cool. Like I want to make this happen because the students will think it's really cool, and that's what matters. Is like just doing the things. It seems like you're like, you followed your passion, and it's like contagious. Other people jump on and latch on. And I was wondering, like, if you had, I know you like get a lot of first timers who are climbing, or you like work with students who are kind of like, I'm just going to belay because this is what I'm comfortable with. That's their challenge. But do you see that like that switch in people where maybe they're like you and they're like, oh, I really like this, and like I want to keep doing it? I'm sure you see that.
I run this like mentorship program that I'm really stoked about, because you get so many days at a discounted rate and you can book them kind of whenever you want. So it's basically you get a climbing partner that's like actually has the experience and the certifications to like back the mentorship process, right? So I have this kid right now. He's 16. No, he might be less. He's 14 or 13 or 14. He's 8th grader. And he's stoked. He's like, has the haul bag. He has a portaledge. He has like all this gear. This stuff. I gave him books to read, and he like read them cover to cover, you know, like he looked at Petzl's, he like read Petzl's history, you know, like he's just like stoked, you know? So you just like keep feeding the fire, and like people just, you know, they love it. And like I have people that came out with me on a University of New England trip, I think. This guy Dan O'Malley, and he was terrified at Otter, like terrified. And now he climbed the armadillo with me, and like he was probably my first mentor, and
Cool.
just like working with him on like anxiety and fear and like, but also like really getting excited about the sport in particular. Right. And he's just succeeded so much in like overcoming that and getting into it more and going out with more people and like providing that mentorship of like what's good and what's not good, right? Like people can't always see that.
Yeah.
What is a good relationship and what's a bad relationship? Like those are important things that you have to learn, especially in climbing, right? Yeah. But then that's all transferable to like life. And like more stuff, right? So I feel really fortunate that I always feel like the right people, the right clients, like probably whoever's listening too, right? They're gonna come to me because they like the way that I say something or the way that I'm doing something. And I feel like it's more of like a spiritual experience for me. Like the people that, like Dan, right? He's gonna climb with me probably for the rest of his life because he like loves it, right? Yeah. And like those are the people I want to come climb with me that like want that, that are excited about it more so than like, I sent Dan a thing the other day. There's an ice climb on Tumble Down. I had no idea it existed. I was like, Dan, you want to go do this? And he's like, yeah. Like, you know my style. It's not hard. It's just going to be a friggin' adventure, in the woods and like getting cold with ice tools. Like, and he's just like, yeah, that's, me.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And I think so much of that too, right? Though is like, with that example with Dan, like, so much of the like magic behind that equation was like you created a small portion of curiosity. Yeah. And once you get somebody curious about something, now you have their ear of like, there's like this cycle that I always talk about is like, how do I make someone curious so I can make them competent so that I can make them confident? And then once they're confident about something, I can make them really curious about just about anything I want. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so how do you like get that wheel turning? And so much of it is just that, like, it could be the like sitting here and having a conversation with someone and doing a lot more listening than talking, right? And asking the right questions. And I think the point you made earlier was super, super fair of like, help me understand what your current understanding or perception of climbing is. Yeah. So that way then I can tailor this conversation around that as compared to just immediately throwing out what I think about climbing. Yeah. Right. Because we might be on completely different wavelengths, and I'm not going to have you where I am for 3 years. Yeah. Right. But I have to get you started so that way I can truly bring you under the wing. Yeah. And do those things.
One of my guys is a good example of that, Elias. He started as Midcoast School of Technology. I work with them a bunch. Yeah. Sure. And they're awesome.
They're the best. Yeah.
Yeah. He started there, and he went there for 2 years, was my intern kind of like in that process. And he's worked for me for 4 years now, which is wild. And he was in Acadia doing a multi-pitch. I ran a rock guide course through the AMGA last year and he took it. And then he was on South Wall. Thunderstorm came in over the top, right? Lady starts freaking out. She's like, we got to get out of here. He's like, cool as a cucumber, right? Yeah, we'll get you down. Down to the ground. Other guy, yep, you're just going to go down. Lean back. Down to the ground, right? Wraps all the way down and like they're out of there. Like no big deal. And he's like, yeah, we're getting out of here, right? But that's like, he had to get there, right?
Yeah.
Like he had to like do all the things to be able to like know what to do in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And like he had to practice them all and like gotten it all dialed so that then it's like not that big a deal. And the client knows that, right? Mm-hmm. If they're like, oh, this guy's like not able to do this, right? They're gonna know that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that trust is broken immediately. Yeah. And it's so hard to repair that.
Yeah.
That's so cool that you've had all these years to kind of like build these relationships. And I've even seen it with one of my students, Annie Thomas, and she totally like latched onto you and your guide service, and she's awesome, and she caught the bug, the climbing bug. And so it's just, I think it's like kudos to you and all that you've done to like kind of bring in these young people and inspire the next generation. Like we always talk about how Maine has this really old guide service, you know, like they're just aging out. And it seems like specifically with this sport, there's like a really young generation that's latching on and learning in this state, which is really cool.
It's interesting. I just saw this thing on Climbing Magazine put out that people are indoor climbing. They have no desire to go outdoors. Mm-hmm. It's like 60 or 70% of, or maybe it was 80. It was like crazy high percentage of climbers are just climbing indoors. Colby's a good example of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure people climb at that wall, don't even think about going outdoors. I think Colby's a good partnership, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, you climbed at the wall. Let's go see what it's like to go outside, or like, let's go ice climbing this weekend.
Like that's maybe a good first place to start on a wall, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
but then
I do.
but you might not even know that you could go outdoors.
Right? Yeah.
That's super wild to me. It's like they've, in that article, it talks about it as two different cultures. Like people are just gonna climb indoors, and that's their climbing culture, is this like indoor thing, not even knowing that outdoors exists, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I like started outdoors. I was like, I want to climb outdoors. Like, I don't want to go inside. Like, I'll go inside to train, but I want to be outdoors. Like, that's where it's at for me. So, yeah, it's interesting that that's a different culture, I guess, or like a different mentality around climbing. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm like, let's go outside and like go be outside and like see the elements and get snowed on and get rained on and like.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like a whole different level of risk involved where like it's so predictable when you're climbing indoors. Maybe there's like a specific, well, I guess you have the same route that you could go to, but you can like, you know what it's going to be there. It's going to be open for you. There's no weather that's going to mess up your plans. You know, there will be people there probably because it's already convening, like less logistically challenging and like less skill because, I mean, a lot of the time there's like an automatic belay system that you don't actually need a belay partner to go climb. So I feel like for the cities and the places where there are lots of people, it can be a great thing. But it's really unique here that you have all this access to rock. And it's like, we don't need an indoor gym here. Just get outside. Yeah. But then people don't even start there, right? Yeah, right. They're still starting in the gyms. Well, hopefully this will educate some people, inspire some people to get outside rather than going into a climbing gym.
Yeah, for the millions of people that are going to listen to this podcast.
Got to manifest your reality.
I keep saying it in a bunch of episodes. One day it'll be true. But I think that point that Sam just brought up, I think is really interesting and unique. And I would love to hear your perspective on this. Like, I think one of the coolest parts, right? Like I am not actively a climber, but my wife had been for a really long time. And so like there's something about the like climbing on the Maine coast of like also having the ocean tied into that environment that's like just mystical is like the only word I can like use to describe it. So like for someone who maybe like is climbing, but they're doing it mainly like, you know, landlocked. Like, how do you talk about that, like that differentiator? Because you guys have that in spades. Yeah.
It's hard to describe Otter Cliffs. Have you been there? Yeah. It's like pretty cool. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, you can't really beat it. And like even starting climbing here and like guiding here, I was like, I have to get a Acadia permit. There's like no way that I can't be a Maine guide service and like not operate in Acadia, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like, it's cool. Mm-hmm. It's like super cool. But that spot is definitely super technical. Like I see crazy stuff all the time, crazy anchors and like stuff that shouldn't be happening. That does happen, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know how I explain it to people, but I try not to like explain it to them. You know what I mean? Like I also try not to be like fear them into not doing it, right? Because that can be a really easy step to be like, you should hire a guide. Somebody called me last week and was like, oh, you can't go to Otter Cliffs anymore without hiring a guide. I was like, that's not true. Like, who's saying that? Like, who's putting that out into the world? That's not. You can just go there. Right. It's a national park. So I try to be like as cognizant as I can and like give people as much information as I can and like, you know, set people up for success. I think there was a while there there was this fear that I would tell somebody how to do something and then I would, you know, get sued afterwards, that they would like do the thing that I told them to do, you know. So I have to be a little bit cautious there of like who I'm talking to. But now I'm more like, I need to inform people and they need to know what it's like or how they should operate that system, because it's a super technical system. You're belaying from the top, you're lowering people in and they have to climb back out. Like, unless you've operated that system before, it's like, it's a lot different. But I don't want to tell them not to go do it, you know? And I want to make money. I want to be a guide, but I also am a climber first, and I need to have compassion for that person and help them as best I can. And, you know, at least they might go away and be like, no, I did a great job of like telling me to just be aware of like what this is going to be like. So I think there's a fine line there. I might not always be the best at it, but I try to like bridge that gap. And there are people at the cliff like that I've been at the past week where they're like, what climb should we do next? You know, and I'll be like, you should go do this one. Like, you struggled on that one, let's go do this one, you know? And they might not always take that advice, and that's fine too. But even somebody the other day was like, how's our system? And I was like, it looks good. Here's what I would do differently. Here's like a couple little nuances, but it looked good, you know? And like, that's all it needs to be, you know? It doesn't need to be like shaming them, right?
That's not it.
Yeah. There was an Instagram thing of like anchors of otter for a while. It was just these like shenanigan anchors, because it happens all the time. It's like we overbuild things. But
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting Instagram feed to watch and like watch the comments and just like be aware of. But yeah, I try to like bridge the gap and not, you know, be elitist about it or be hierarchy about it. And like, but you got to go to Otter. Like, two places I think climbers, if you're a climber in Maine, you got to climb Armadillo and Katahdin, and you got to climb at Otter Cliffs. And Camden's sweet. Nobody knows about it, but Camden's sweet. Yeah, those are like the two iconic places, I would say. Otter Cliffs is pretty iconic. Yeah.
What makes Camden so sweet?
There's nobody here. You know, when I'm at the cliff, it's like I know everybody at the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you know, Alan Reese, who wrote the guidebook for Camden, is like my best friend, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how it is. It's like nobody knows about this place or like comes here or thinks about climbing here. You know, they're going straight to Acadia and like want to climb at Otter, which is cool. But here, the moderate multi-pitch is fantastic. Like, I can get a beginner climber 2 pitches up off the ground easy, you know, and rappel off the top, and they'll be like, oh, we actually went rock climbing today, you know, in a half day, right? Like,
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. And it's like way more user friendly.
Yeah.
Like, Acadia's like splitter, hand crack, lie back, like hand, like all these things that are way more technical. Whereas Barrett's is like slab. You just put your foot on the wall and it sticks, and you just stand up on it. And it's like way more just user friendly and beginner sort of oriented, especially for that multi-pitch thing, which is pretty cool.
I was just going to say, there's nothing worse. Like, I've definitely been climbing where I've gotten to the wall and I'm like, I'm a beginner. I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't feel like I can actually climb this, you know, like there's just, it just feels impossible. And so it is a huge win to be able to just go and make strides. Like, that's how you build that confidence.
Yeah.
And how you kind of get the bug to want to try it again.
Yeah.
Because nothing worse when you're like starting something new and you're inevitably going to be bad at it, but like you're even worse at it because you're kind of set up for failure based on where you're starting.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to balance that line.
Yeah.
Bring people out to things where they can feel successful.
Exactly. Yeah. We call that managing expectations.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I always have high expectations. So
yeah. Everybody wants to climb the cool overhung
yes.
Otter Cliffs thing, right? But then you're like, where have you climbed? Okay, you've climbed in Red Rocks your whole life? Okay. That's a little bit easier. Like the grading systems are different.
Yeah.
Right? So like if you've climbed in the Gunks, it's like overhung jugs, right? But it was also the first place that climbing kind of like conceptualized in the United States because that pitons came into New York City.
Okay.
So it's a little bit harder grade-wise because 510 didn't really exist yet, right? So the first 5.9 in the Northeast was in Acadia. Rock Lobster's the first 5.9. So all the grading is sort of like skewed, right? So Acadia is harder. Camden's a little bit easier because it's a newer climbing area. So I have that in the back of my mind, right? Plus they're saying, oh, I climb 5.10 in the gym. I'm like, great, let's start it. Like my clients on Tuesday, I was like, let's start on 5.5.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes, you know? And I was like, got up the first pitch and I was like, what do you think it's rated? And they're like 5.8. I was like, I was 5.5. You know? So you don't try not to like, you don't want to make them feel bad about themselves, but you also don't want to like boost them up and be like, some of the grades on Otter, like I don't even know the grades. Like I don't care about the grades. It's like, this one's harder. This one's easier. This one's super fun. You know, like that's all you need. That's sort of, I think we should just scrap the whole 5.9 system. Hard, easy, fun.
I was
that's
gonna
all
say,
we need.
like, I like have sort of an idea of what it means. Like I haven't done a lot of climbing, but I feel like I loved when I guided for Ripple Effect. We had a random wall on this island and it literally was like attached to like a trailer bed. So it was like suspended up from, so the trailer bed was like on the island and we would let kids climb it all the time. I just remember we had a mild, medium, and spicy. And I was like, that's my grading system.
I like my climbing like I like my salsa.
Salsa, yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
It's much more relatable.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, I mean, I've noticed it a little bit in our conversation is like there's just lingo and it's just like this terminology that if you're not a climber, you don't know it. So it's like somebody who doesn't climb, it's like, oh God, I don't know what those things mean, so I'm not going to do it or whatever it is. And so like making it more relatable helps.
Crazy part is when you get the like middle school TikTok kids mixed with the climbing lingo. It's like a different language. You have no idea what they're saying anymore. It's super wild.
Are you picking it up? Because I'm not. I'm like in the college setting and it's like half the things they say I'm like, what does that mean? Like I'm officially old.
Yeah.
But okay with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're just, I mean, at the end of the day, you're providing reality, right? Like your point earlier, like how do we manage expectations? Like I do have to give you a sense of reality when we are talking about that, like the difference between a 5.5 and a 5.8 and their perception of that, and like, you know, because that's part of the educational process too, is making sure that whatever your new perspective that you were able to achieve based off of your experience within this thing, we do want to make sure that that's grounded in reality.
Yeah. It's interesting, these people on Tuesday, like we got into this whole thing about grading and like kind of what I explained to you about the oldness and the newness of different areas. They had climbed in Red Rocks, which is like a newer area. And then we kind of went down this path of ethics, right? Which is an interesting climbing thing that we're so new. We don't necessarily all have the same ethics within this thing, right? Like, so it's interesting to go into that and like, we need to decide what our ethics are. You know?
You know, like convenings to like sit down and talk about it. Do you guys ever do that? Is there like a main climbing conference or?
No.
You should start it.
Yeah.
Add it to your list of things, Noah.
Yeah. I'll add it to my to-do list.
Put it on your Thanksgiving plate.
Yeah. I think, it's interesting because like my ethics are different than other people's ethics, right? Like I like clean climbing. I don't like bolts as much, right? Like I follow LNT as much as I can, right? Like those are my ethics, right? Which are a lot different than other climbers' ethics, right? And I think there's also this, climbers have always, up until this point, been fringe, right? The rebels, right? The like outcast human, right? like, oh, we don't do that. We're like, we're over here doing our own thing, right? That's kind of like the mentality of climbers. And now it's so big that doesn't really work anymore, right? That's not really what we're doing anymore. And so we have to kind of like, I think a lot of climbers are grappling with that. There's been a huge controversy. The snake dike in Yosemite, somebody went up and bolted the whole thing. Pretty much like grid bolted, which means every like 6 feet there's a bolt. And a bunch of climbers went in and chopped them all because they did not like that they had done them.
Wow.
So now there's chopping's like, we used to do a lot more of it. There was like more of this battle between bolting and not bolting. Was like, there was some Connecticut shenanigans that happened back in the 80s and 90s. Okay. But yeah, it's interesting it's happening now too, right? Where, yeah, it's just sort of this like internal battle of what is the ethic, right? The route was put up with no bolts. Mm-hmm. There's a couple pitches that there's nothing. You're just climbing. It's 5'4". It's like 5th class, but it's not hard.
Yeah.
But like you don't want to fall.
Right. Yeah. It's not gonna be a fun ride down.
Yeah. So the question is like, how accessible do we want to make the sport, right? Do we want to make any kid from Colby to walk up to climb the snake dike? Probably not. We probably don't want that. But do we want to make it a little more accessible to people that like want to climb up Half Dome? And so it's like this sort of internal debate that I think a lot of people are having is like, what is the risk? Like my risk tolerance is different than your risk tolerance, right? Mm-hmm. And your risk tolerance, like they're all different. Mm-hmm. But how do we create accessibility in something that is so personal to that person? So I think it's an interesting conversation.
Absolutely. Next episode with you, we'll have to dive deeper into it because I feel like it is interesting because it's not just in climbing. It seems like it's in outdoor recreation as a whole, like making the outdoors more accessible, but in a way it's like changing maybe the landscape or the user experience for other people and what that looks like and the ethics tied to it and all the opinions that follow.
I found it too interesting, like a lot of people are doing these like climb nights, like community climb nights, and it's like $25 to climb, And I think that's great. Like, I think we should definitely do that. But also we're like degrading the quality of instruction that we're getting. Like, I have $30,000 worth of certifications to allow me to take you climbing, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to charge you $25 to go climbing with me. Like, that doesn't really work, right?
Yeah.
So, and my guides are the same way. Like, they have certifications that they spent a ton of money on to be able to do the thing. And so their time is super valuable too, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm all for making it accessible, and I think that's great. But like, I can't always afford to make it accessible to everybody,
Absolutely.
So how do we, climbing is definitely an expensive sport. I mean, there's a lot of expensive sports out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skiing.
I mean, it is literally, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about like, because I certainly get pushback, right? Is like, there's obviously quite the price discrepancy between like a group lesson and a private lesson, as an example, right? And the group lessons are still like, they're expensive. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, like, especially for the private lesson, sure, you might pay $500+ to come ski with me for 3 hours, but you're getting my undivided attention that I've spent over a decade working on this craft to get whatever experience enhancement you want out of this thing for me to be able to give you that, right? And so like, there's a cost to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's such a fine line, and like, I used to have conversations with coaches all the time of like, they couldn't figure out like the prices were like becoming really high and all this stuff. And I was like, yes, they absolutely are. I go, but at the same time, if you can look at this from the perspective of, if I can have that product available and all the people that want to spend that money, I get them to spend it. That's that much more discount programming that I'm now able to run for like local school kids, right? Where we're having them literally come for like $5.
Yeah.
And they get rentals, a lesson, and a cookie for $5. Like, those programs exist because you made money on people that were willing to spend the money while they were there with you. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's always going to be a tug of war within any business.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And then think about my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Charges $800 for a half a day to go fishing with him. That's everybody in the boat. You know, it's six people in the boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome, you know? So it's just a different model, right?
Totally.
Than the like, you know, run them through kind of model, which, so it's like, how do you fit into that market share? What is your market share? Yeah. I mean, it's all business stuff. But,
That is definitely its own episode. So we do this segment at the end of every episode called Voices from the Summit. Finally, it's fitting for the first time in a long couple of episodes that we're doing a climbing episode and talking about Voices from the Summit while we are not actively at the summit. But rapid fire questions, just an opportunity for like the audience to get to know you a little bit more, have a fun, creative way to kind of close out the episode. So first question, what would you say is the best part of living in Maine?
the accessibility to the outdoors. I know it sounds kitschy, but
That's fine.
since we're on the outdoor. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hardest weather you've guided in?
The hardest weather I've guided in. -40. Yeah, -40. Mount Washington, we ran a ice fest. It's -40. It was like, it was crazy cold.
That's pretty cold. And definitely not what I think about when I think about climbing.
I've also spent the night when I worked for wilderness therapy, we spent some nights out that were like -30, -40. Yeah.
Sure.
We had like a heated shelter, but it was really cold. Yeah.
Cold plus no sun.
Yeah.
That's a different -30.
Yeah. I was on some like solo one-on-one time with a kid during -30, and that was pretty brutal. And the wood stove was broken. That was pretty brutal. Yeah. So you weren't moving around at all.
Describe the future of Maine's outdoor recreation economy in one word.
In one word?
Yeah.
Inspirational.
Ooh, inspiration.
What is the biggest lesson the outdoors has taught you?
Flexibility.
What keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated? Probably kids. Yeah, the younger generation that gets excited. It's that fire we were talking about, about like climbing. Yeah, they're exciting. I like those people.
Cool.
They're cool people.
Yeah. Annie gets me excited.
What's one thing people need more of right now?
To get out of their comfort zone. I don't know. Yeah, I think we just need to get a little scareder in like the right ways.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's times where, it makes sense to be scared of things, right? But also, we don't need to live in a bubble, right? We don't need to be like padded everywhere in like this sterile environment. Like we don't need that. That's not reality, right? Go be in the woods, get a little dirty, not shower for a couple days. Like that's okay, you know?
My wife strongly disagrees with your statement.
We teach the younger generation this, Noah. Don't need a shower every day of your life. It's okay.
Yeah.
Most challenging part of entrepreneurship?
Marketing. I hate marketing.
That says a lot. When I walked in the door and I was like, "Oh, you should do a podcast," but you're like, "No."
Noah's like, "Cool, you're gonna do this podcast episode and have a bunch of Instagram and YouTube shorts and all that content's gonna be out there, and I don't have to do it. Super."
It's challenging.
Fair. What is a dream expedition anywhere in the world? Where would it be?
Been thinking a lot about Chamonix right now. I really want to go there.
Me too.
Climb some mountains. And I don't know. Well, no, Patagonia.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to climb Fitzroy. Yeah, I would think that's a dream. Yeah, I think that's an obtainable dream too. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, either one of those. Oh, two. I picked two.
Yeah. You're allowed to have multiple dreams. You do go to sleep every night, I think. So, you've built a career around like offering these outdoor experiences that, to your point, like push the envelope with folks in terms of like their sense of adventure, but also like dipping their toe into the water of uncomfortability, right? And so like, how do you describe, the thing that people get to experience when they are outdoors in those environments that just like quote unquote ordinary life just can't teach them?
Yeah. I mean, like I had a kid yesterday. I was like trying to teach her how to belay, and she was like, I can't do it. And then she like unclipped and was like done. And we were like, okay, whatever. And then she was like, I just don't trust myself. I was like, look, the only person in the entire world for the rest of your life you have to trust is you. Mm-hmm. This is a good opportunity to learn how to trust yourself, right? It's like, those are the points where it's like, you got to say that stuff, right? And they're going to learn way more about themselves in that moment than they are about rock climbing. Like rock climbing is just the thing that I'm doing, right? But the lesson that's behind it is like huge, right? She's going to have that with the rest of her life. If she can climb up the wall 6 feet, right? And come down, or just try to belay somebody. Like those are lessons that you're going to just take with you for forever, right? So I think those are important pieces. Does that answer the question?
That answers it perfectly, and that could not have been like a better closeout answer for the episode. So first off, thank you, Noah, again so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome conversation.
Thank you, so good.
Getting to dive into, you are definitely the first person that we've had in the climbing industry. And it's something that like, I mean, I can't speak for Sam, but like I have very like, I would call it like a peripheral understanding of the industry as a whole. So being able to like sit down and kind of chat into some depth on it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that like all the social media handles and the website and all that kind of stuff is down in the show notes. So that way everybody can check you out and make sure, hit that follow button, make sure we're supporting Noah, and the team here at Equinox. And that goes for us too. Like, I'm going to keep shamelessly plugging this, that you absolutely should be hitting that subscribe button, hit the like button, give us a comment. I'd be curious, comment below in terms of like, what is your current perception of climbing? And then maybe we'll have Noah respond to some of them at some point, somewhere down the line in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate you guys continuing to be along this journey. And if you've made it all the way through this episode and you're still listening to me talk, kudos to you.
Say that at the bottom.
But with that, until next time, we'll see you outside.
See you outside.